little refresher, you know? Episode 2, drink 2, it all adds up.
Is it drink 2 though? Because in between cuts, I'm pretty sure this is like drink 5. But for the sake of everything, it would be drink 2.
Sure, let's
Why
just...
not? I'm pretty sure people are going to be
This is Hollywood, baby! Welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Old Fashioned Marketing. We're Raja.
2.5.
And I, Andrea Lechner Becker. We talk about marketing and technology in the old-fashioned way, the way it should be done. Damn it, let's get back to basics. And this is serious. This is a serious episode.
It's really marketing. Like, we're not sending people into space or doing open heart surgery. So the level of seriousness, in range of other things.
Sure. Yeah. Taken into context.
Correct. In the sphere of...
Nothing's that important.
In the sphere of marketing, it is probably like heart surgery.
Sure. This is serious because we're talking about budgets today in episode 2 of season 2 of Old Fashioned Marketing.
2.5, season 2.5.
And so the thing I want to ask you is, it's been a while since I've been a CMO. Okay, I'm mostly retired. And what that means is that I used to have to worry about shit like this, and now I don't. And when I used to have to worry about how I was going to pay for the growth that I had guaranteed to one Mr. Justin Gray, I used to have a budget. And how I used to do it, so I was last CMO in 2021, so it's a while ago. And in 2021, what I did was I said what my budget needed to be in like November. I had it by channel, I had technology, channel, and headcount as 3 different categories. And then, 2021 alone, it was sort of like, oh, fuck, none of this is right anymore, right? Because 2020, obviously the pandemic happened, this little thing called COVID. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of it or thinks about it anymore, but
There's a movie about it.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It's a big deal. I feel like people that watch this in 2027 are going to be like, what was that? What happened? But in 2020, the whole world shut down, which meant all events, in-person events, where a lot of budget was accrued.
Allocated for...
Right, just events. Stopped existing. And then we actually had a lot of people give us the money back. Like at LeadMD, we invested a tremendous amount of budget in Adobe Summit, and they gave us all of our money back for our sponsorship at the time. And so, which I think people have fixed those loopholes in their contracts now. If there's another pandemic, you're fucked. But at the time, we got our money back.
You get a credit. It actually is in the contract because we're going to be at Adobe Summit next year.
There you go. Yeah. So we got our money back, and then everyone's like, what are we doing, right? But you have all of this budget, and actually there are certain companies that are thriving during this. So 2020 wasn't actually that bad, but then 2021 came, and now all of a sudden it's some events are coming back in person, but then all the other ones have a hybrid, and there's different, blah, 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 and everything was chaos, and we started adjusting our budgets. Instead of it just being an annual budget that I manage pretty much on a quarterly basis, it became okay, every quarter I'm kind of changing what happens. So my question to you, as somebody who actually is still working and talking to people that are CMOs, what are people doing just to level set on budgets? Do they still have the categories of campaigns, technologies, and people? And how often are they adjusting it? When do they start? Tell me the things about the budgeting that you see.
Yeah, no, I feel there was, to your point, back in the day, long time ago.
3 years ago.
In a galaxy far away, right?
Yeah.
There was a time where you just had an annual budget and you had to allocate it to how you wanted to allocate it.
Yeah.
Now there's more of hey, I'm going to see if for the next quarter we have budget for this.
Yeah.
And this ranges company to company.
Yeah.
Because it could be I have budget to
Sounds fucking miserable.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to understand is when COVID happened and there was a surplus of budget, people generally didn't know what to do with it. So then they hired a bunch of people to fill those slots. Well, now it's most vice versa. It's okay, now our budgets are getting back to normal. We don't have money for X, Y, and Z. you only have money to either hire a person or get help. And then your tech budget is always going to be your tech budget, but that takes out of it. So I personally haven't found a rhyme or reason why there's certain companies that budget one way and there's certain budget companies that just budget quarterly. Generally,
is it just leadership? Is
Yeah.
it the CMO
I feel-
just being like, here's what we're going to do?
Yeah, we have this much money to spend, right? This is how much money we spend on tech. This is what's remaining. Let's figure our shit out. What are we going to do for the next quarter, right? And then, but there are companies, like bigger companies, that say, hey, this is our annual budget. This is our 6-month budget, whatever it is. I feel like it's not an annual budget anymore, which is kind of weird in a sense.
Seems like a bitch.
Yeah.
To have to do this, because I think like the big thing that is obviously...
And not to interrupt, and the reason I say
well,
that...
but you are.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, correct.
That's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate to interrupt you, but I'm going to.
Because I just remembered something my brain told me about that I have to say it.
Go ahead.
Is that one of our clients is very specifically like this. We revisit budgets every quarter. And every quarter, it's like we have this much budget, so we're going to get these many hours. And next budget, next quarter, sorry, we're going to have to dumb it down. Increase it, decrease it, and it's a quarterly thing.
Yeah.
And even when I approached it, I was like, hey, like, what drives this? And they're like, it's just the upper. Yeah, it's just what's being passed down. And when I personally hear stuff like it's just being passed down, that just means that there's so much a dynamic change going on in the industry that people are reorganizing their entire budgets, not just the marketing, but marketing budgets are a little fluffy because there's a lot of shit that we don't need that we buy because it's a shiny little object that, shiny object syndrome is what we call it.
Well, I think 2 points. The first that I was in the process of saying when you interrupted me was that marketing is supposed to fundamentally be a long-term strategy. We sometimes help sales in the short-term objectives, but for the most part, like, marketing really is the most effective when it's focused on brand and creating awareness in the marketplace that you even fucking exist. Because it's very hard to do. As we talked about in the last episode, there are 29,000 technologies in MarTech. If you are a accounting software, you have a ton of competitors, new, old, in between. Like, every technology at this point has an incredible amount of competition, and marketing's biggest job is to make sure people know you fucking exist. And that is not a quarter over quarter, month over month, week over week thing that you can do, like sales. Like, sales, every month is a new month. You did great last month, now not impressed. Like, it's the first, what have you done for me lately? And it sucks, but that's why you get paid like you get paid. Marketing is mostly a long-term strategy. And so I think that the thing that bums me out the most about what's happening, because although I have not been a CMO for a long time, so I can't speak from personal experience, I do have a very robust CMO network, and they report the same things that you're talking about, where they have to prove and go fight for budget. They think that they're gonna have this budget for next quarter, and then all of a sudden it's $100,000 less. And I think it's really hard to operate in a strategic long-term thinking when you are confined with short-term budgeting processes like this.
And do you know why that is? It's because of this entire whole...
Probably idiots.
Marketing...
Are we surrounded by idiots, Raja?
No.
Is that the problem?
No.
Morons. I'm surrounded by morons.
No. The problem is this entire... What is marketing and what is marketing ops debate, right? Because every time we talk about marketing always talks about, or marketing ops always talks about efficiencies and all of these items. We want a seat at the table. Well, the reality of getting a seat at the table is that you have to produce revenue. So now we've said, hey, we are good at what we do, and we want the seat. And I believe the executive said, cool. I want you to now produce revenue.
Right.
Because I don't care who you people are.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do for a living. What I care about is that...
How inhumane, Raja.
Yeah, well, that's why people have, that's the whole fundamental process about a company. Right? They're focused on revenue. So now I think we've...
I always
and here's the
Can
thing.
we sidebar for a second?
No, she's interrupting me.
Yeah.
But I said.
But I'm not even going to apologize for it.
Yeah, I said,
I'm not even
hey,
gonna
sorry,
apologize
I
for
want
it.
to interrupt you.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing that I really do love. Like, I love when people with bullshit job titles who add nothing to the company end up getting laid off. And then they're like,
what did I do?
This company was amazing. The culture was great. It's like, bro, but like you're not focused on making fucking money. Like, again, I hate to be like the old-fashioned 50s diner of
that's
business.
the purpose
like,
of this, though. But
that's the thing. Like, you have to make your company money. Like, Raja and I will be the bad guys to tell you, like, you have to, you know?
Yeah, your nitro cold brew on tap is not going to save your job.
No.
Like, that's a very cool cultural thing to have.
It's dope and whatnot, but
that's costing the company money.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of the biggest dilemma in this. And when it comes to budgeting, there's a couple things generally that we approach currently is that SaaS software is getting smarter. Now, I am a very fundamental believer that AI is there for sure, but it helps with the conveniences. For example, every single one of our consultants has an AI assistant. You know what the AI assistant does in Zoom?
I would love to know.
It records the call, provides all the notes and next steps. It recognizes when we said, hey, these are the follow-up items. These are, however AI does AI shit, whatever it is, right? But it does it. So every single one of our consultants has a recording on the call. Now, what does that make their life easier on?
Everything.
Project management next step,
I mean, it sounds dope.
Yeah, it's phenomenally amazing, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about like Zoom as a platform, we're talking about Asana as a platform, and what they're doing is all of these companies have now realized that, hey, I am now going after market share of products that fit into my ecosystem.
Right.
And that alone will consolidate your budget.
Which I feel like back in the day, companies
had a platform for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, yes, right? Like, as we talked about, the MarTech ecosystem is fucking crazy, right? 29,000 technologies or whatever it is. And I think back in the day, these companies would have acquired each other, but I think that what AI has also done is make the cost of development so fucking cheap that all of these companies are now, instead of a marketing automation platform like, let's just say Marketo, acquiring a webinar platform like Zoom, now creating that same functionality, duplicating it is like pretty fucking cheap. So that's what I see a lot in the marketplace is like just companies really cannibalizing other niche sort of small jobs to be done.
Time tracking.
Yeah.
Remember like time tracking was like this huge thing. Like where the hell do we record time? How do we record time? Now
it's like a consulting thing.
Yeah,
you should explain that because most people
So,
are not consultants.
Yeah,
so,
that's
like
true.
just being like, you remember time tracking?
Yeah.
They'd be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
So consultancies are heavily focused on one word, which I absolutely fucking fundamentally hate, is called utilization. So utilization is how much you are being utilized in an hourly, well, how are you billed? 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever it is.
Like the big thing is that a consultancy's product.
I'm gonna interrupt you.
Well, I'm not interrupting. I'm adding to. It's like improv.
Yeah.
And so the big thing about consultancies is our product is our people. So it is essentially,
once again, hindsight,
mind share,
knowledge,
time. Yes, hindsight.
Right?
From episode 1, you should go watch it. It's good. But yeah, so I think that the concept is your product is your people, and the time that they spend giving you mind share as a customer or client, that is the only product that we have. So it becomes really valuable because there's no real scale to it. If I give you an hour, that's
an hour.
done.
If I spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes, that's the time.
It's important to know who that 20 minutes was dedicated to.
Yeah. And how it was used as well, right? Like not like 20 minutes, drank old fashioned.
Right. Went to the bathroom. I'm going to bill that too.
Thought about marketing for a little bit, and then I billed an hour. Yeah. So just like time tracking software, I'm not sure how much of that tangent they're going to put into this, but anyway, the time tracking software,
we'll
right? All of it is being consolidated. Like not only is it easier to develop, but from a market share perspective, instead of acquiring a company for X amount of dollars, I can just build a functionality which says, hey, this group of people are going to navigate or come to us because of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we talk about budgeting and we talk about products and we talk about all of these technologies that are here, is that's what this entire push is. Like, executives are saying, hey, what can we get rid of? And that's where products like Asana or Salesforce or any of those kind of players in the game are coming in, and they're saying, hey, not only can you supplement this piece of technology with us, you already have us, but we are going to massively discount the ever-living shit out of it.
Right.
And we will help you onboard, which technically for marketing people are like, onboarding people is a task and all the other thing. And then the executives are like, wait, you're telling me how much money can I save?
I feel like we should do a whole episode potentially on why the pro serve of every technology company fucking sucks.
Oh,
and you should always go with a consultant.
Yeah, that would be a good episode.
But, I mean, nobody tells us what to do. So we can just do it as episode 3.
HubSpot, we're going to implement you 90% off for $500. Run with it.
Amazing.
I'll see you in 5 months.
Okay, so that brings me to a point, which is I've been wanting to ask, because I feel like everyone is like, where can I save money? They're desperate to get some money back into actual campaigning out in the marketplace, back into headcount, back into something.
Yeah.
So I feel like technology is a place where people can save money, but like, kind of like I asked in the last episode, what's like the drama? What's the one place that people can be saving money kind of collectively from your experience that you've seen?
So I think part of it realistically is staying attuned with what actually AI is adding on to your current like pieces of technology. What can you consolidate? And that gives you the ability, and by the way, like doing that, and this is literally talking from an actual situation, is that by consolidating your tech stack and saying, hey, these are all the things that we use, these are the products that are adapting to that, then we can actually hire resources to push buttons. Because what AI doesn't do very good of is pushing buttons, right? You can ask it questions, it can record a conversation, it can have an AI chatbot, whatever it is, but what it doesn't do is actually the doing part of stuff. So if you look at tech and you look at how they're adapting, like honestly, like stay up to date with like the notes that they're sending you, right? Like
that's a big, I mean, it's a big thing though, because I remember like when we were Drift partners, Drift's product updates were insane and they'd come weekly. And I told our partners, I was like, you're not the only thing I'm doing in life. Like, I can't keep up to date with this, right? And I think so Salesforce released their SDR agent or whatever they're calling it, like an assistant of some sort. And I have asked people, like, is it helpful to you? And they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, because I don't have a job, so I read the release notes because I was interested in what Salesforce is doing with AI, but the majority of people aren't. And I think that's interesting too, right? Like, all of these big companies like Salesforce, these Goliaths that you kind of think are going to be slow movers on all of this stuff, actually have kind of impressive enhancements while like small guys are doing all sorts of shit and being loud as fuck about it on like LinkedIn or Reddit or all of these different avenues that people are kind of, they think they're going to get a better like new age is like the 70s. I don't even know, but like
it's okay. It works.
I know, but you think you're going to get like innovation from small companies, but a lot of the big companies are really like they're impressive with their AI enhancements, I think.
They have budget to spend on it, but one of the things that bigger companies don't do very well is the entire GTM strategy, go-to-market strategy for bigger companies is let's sell to current clients.
Yeah.
Which is like, honestly, like think of yourself as a young company. There's people that will straight up buy your platform because of the AI stuff that they don't. Like the company that's using your platform, that's an add-on to them, and that's during renewal period. But like, to your point, like the reason that they're not doing it, the reason smaller agencies are saying, we can do this thing, and you're like, wait, there's one bigger company can kind of do this as well. Or the SDR agent for Salesforce is pretty slick, by the way. Like, it is a very cool chatbot feature that takes into account your database and all of this other stuff.
Which then you need to not suck to begin with, though.
Correct.
Is the big thing. Yeah.
Well, you can suck. Like, no, you can suck, though. Like that's the beauty about that SDR agent for Salesforce is that it takes general data points. It doesn't take customized data points. It takes the standard object data and feeds it into a chatbot. So like when
can we just talk about like what you showed me in Gong, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't
it
it
was
Gong?
Gong, yeah.
Okay. Well, you showed me in Gong, right? Like I thought that was dope. Like they have follow-up templates. So Gong, I think, has a competitive advantage against Salesforce. Just in Salesforce, even in general, right? Like you have data, you have what actual prospects are saying to you. You have what actual sales reps are saying to you. Like Salesforce doesn't have that. They have email communications. They have bullshit data that sales reps put in because some marketer has been on their ass about how important the data is and nobody cares. But like,
I disagree with that because Salesforce actually does have that data, but once again, they don't market it.
How do they have call data?
Well, because you have a Salesforce dialer. If you use the Salesforce dialer,
if you have the Salesforce
correct.
dialer.
But that's what. So,
but are people doing that? Because they have Gong.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's like you should learn what your technology does. Shit.
So when you think about these big companies, that they do, and here's the thing: they have a massive amount of R&D budget compared to Gong. Even though we use Gong, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, they do all of those things, but they market to your current audience. They never market as a standalone product that says, by the way, if you get this Salesforce or if you get Salesforce, you also get this, and this is natively built into it. They never market it. They just said, hey, what is it? Like big giant company with multi-million dollars of revenue. By the way, we bought this thing. You want to add it onto your? No problem. I just that's fine. It's fine. Like we're massive product. Yeah, sure. Just add it on.
Yeah.
And they don't market to smaller companies.
And to your point, like,
I wouldn't say smaller companies, but other companies.
Right. And to your point, when we were talking, and the reason that I brought this up is because originally you were talking about how these big companies will discount this stuff at a huge, and
massive.
If you look at like Pardot, right? Like people were getting.
It's not Pardot. It's account engagement.
Totally. Very catchy. Very catchy branding by Salesforce. Yes, account engagement. I can't even fucking say it. It's so many syllables.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, yes, like Pardot, I'm going to keep calling it Pardot.
Yeah, you're fine.
Fuck off, Salesforce. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I feel like that's going to become some sort of like GIF.
Tangent?
If I do it. But yeah, I think like even with Pardot, right, like the amount that they were discounting that product, and it's a good growth strategy. That's just that's actual strategy.
That
like
is a huge red flag. Just FYI, if someone is willing to discount the product by 90%,
to get you to do it,
like they're probably just getting that shit out the door. Like, you know what I mean?
That's like always what we said too when it first started happening. Is like they just want you to get onto the product. It's dog shit, but like once you're on, it's going to be really hard to migrate off. And then they can raise the prices.
Yeah, it's double the cost.
Yeah. So. All right. So we diatribed there for a bit. Yeah. However, the point being that the biggest place that you can probably save money in your budget is in technology by just really exploring all of the functionality of your current tech stack and where you can consolidate.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Correct. Reassessing tech stack, reassessing if you're using tech stack, and if you're not, like it is a giant conversation, which, blatant sales pitch, we actually do tech stack assessments.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's like very weird, right?
How convenient. Yeah.
So we're actually in the process of doing one right now for
everyone.
Yeah.
You. Okay. Okay. So I feel like what we have learned during this episode is that likely you are investing in a bunch of technologies that you don't need to. So really do your research or ask Raja what you can consolidate, right?
Correct.
Okay. So in the next episode, we're going to talk careers because I have a soft spot for the youth. I really think that marketing operations or operations in general is such a great career that I didn't know existed until I got to LeadMD. And I feel like we can educate the youth on what they can benefit from a career in operations. So I think we should talk about rev ops versus marketing ops versus sales ops versus just a marketing career.
And here's a hot take, because I know you like hot takes.
I do.
Personally,
Yeah.
100% personal opinion here. I feel like when we first started, it was okay for us to fail. And that's how we learned. No, let's be real, right? Like when you have 90...
It's okay for us to suck.
Yeah,
because
right?
we're starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 15 technologies. That I was like, I remember asking her a question like, hey, this campaign didn't fire. I don't know why. And she's like, let's figure that shit out. I don't know why it didn't fire either. And I think as we grew in the stack, I feel like a lot of the newer generation from a career perspective, and this is kind of dating us as people just in general, is that...
Well, I'm not sure that hadn't already happened from all of the
old-fashioned
gray hairs and the gray hairs that are happening on our actual faces, but sure.
I think the problem is that they're not given the same amount of time to learn.
The freedom.
Yeah. Because it was very easy for us to fuck something up and be like, we don't know what's going on. And then we called support and they're like, we don't know what the fuck's going on either. Like we invented this platform like 2 weeks ago, right? And the problem is, I think there's a little bit of a leadership thing. So when we talk about careers and operations for the next episode, we also talk about how leaders really kind of help grow the next generation of marketers in operations. Because right now, I personally feel like they're doing a piss poor job. I have a ton of examples that I could actually demonstrate for.
Well, you're doing a bad job, and you're going to hear about it in the next episode of Old Fashioned Marketing. Cheers, Raj.
Cheers.
Damn it, let's get back to basics and
It's gonna piss off the sound guy. But that's fine.
well, I mean it's what do they call those people who do the sound in the movies? They have a whole name for them? No, not the boom people. The people that go like
sound effects guys?
Foley artists.
Oh.
I'm like a Foley artist. I'm a performer and an interviewer and a Foley artist all in one. Anyways, I digress.